This webinar will be recorded. Screenshots, video, and audio clips will be used to report of the event on internal channels of CFA Society Philippines and possibly online website and social media platforms. If you do not consent to the internet use of video or audio clips in which posts from you might be visible, please email us at events@cfaphilippines.org. No other recordings of any form are allowed once you enter the webinar. Please note that CFA Society Philippines holds proprietary rights on all the presentation materials of this webinar. For the participants, kindly mute your audio when not speaking to prevent any background noise. Please write your comments or questions to the speakers in the Q&A box. Introduce yourselves by telling us your full name and organization. Those who are able to answer some questions about the webinar and complete the evaluation form will receive an electronic copy of certificate. CFA Society Philippines will send the link to the online evaluation form via email. You may scan the QR code flashed in the screen to view the career profile of our featured CFA charter holder today.
Let's build a better world for investing.
Let's lead in improving the quality and standards of the financial profession.
Keep you abreast of financial innovations here and abroad.
Be known for our integrity and professional excellence.
Let's always put investors' needs above our own.
Push for financial literacy.
Provide service to the investors through the selection of the best managed funds of the year.
Let's build trust in our industry.
Advocate on behalf of industry issues.
Convince trust and asset management companies to adopt the Asset Managers Code and the Global Investment Performance Standards.
Let's put ethics at the heart of everything we do.
Talk about ethical decision making.
Encourage ethical behavior and be really passionate about it.
Create an environment where investors' interests come first.
Markets function at their best and economies grow.
For the ultimate benefit of the Philippine society.
I am Chris Arceo.
Mark Yu.
Erwin Ocampo Avante.
Rob Ramos.
Sandra Aurelio Gonzalez.
Mark Ilaw.
Kate Burgos and I am CFA Charter.
We measure
up. Join us.
Let's measure up.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the third webinar series on Invest in Your Career and Reach the Top, where one CFA charter holder will be featured at a time. Today's webinar is about the fund management career path. Let's learn about the challenges, the tips, and be inspired in following this career path. Thank you for being with us today. I am Dayan Nandig, the Executive Vice President for Internal Affairs of Junior Financial Executives PUP, and I am your host for today's online event. Before we officially start our program, may I call on John Lawrence Abelio, the second year level representative of Junior Financial Executives PUP for the invocation.
Let's close our eyes and put ourselves in the holiness of God the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Dear Almighty and ever-loving God, be glorified and thanked be your name. You have showered us with so much blessings, and your presence continuously remind us of your faithfulness and guidance. We dismay humbly ask to shower our speaker today of your greatest inspiration so that they may share the most of their knowledge, heart and soul to their respective topic. May we also absorb the invaluable knowledge experiences and put it into practice what we may learn today. We pray that to bless all the committees in charge, that they may be able to fulfill their task responsibly, that the objectives they have set may all be achieved. Your infinite blessing would mean the success of this seminar. May we be a living witness of your genuine love through the enactment of the knowledge acquired through this activity. We ask this in the name of Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior. Amen.
Please remain silent for the singing of the Philippine National Anthem.
Mga kababayan, ang pambansang awit ng Pilipinas.
Bayang magiliw, perlas ng silanganan, alab ng puso, sa dibdib mo'y buhay. Lupang hinirang, duyan ka ng magiting, sa manlulupig, di ka pasisiin. Sa dagat at bundok, sa simoy at sa langit mong bughaw, may dilad ang tula at awit sa paglayang minamahal. Ang kislap ng watawat mo'y tagumpay na nagniningning. Ang bituin at araw niya kailan pa may di magdidilim. Lupa ng araw ng walhati't pagsinta, buhay ang langit sa piling mo. Aming ligaya na pag may mga api, ang mamatay ng dahil sa'yo.
Again, welcome to the Career Guide webinar, Invest in Your Career to Reach the Top Fund Management. CFA Society Philippines would like to take this opportunity to recognize its annual corporate sponsors. Platinum sponsor, National Home Mortgage Finance Corporation. Silver sponsor, FTI Consulting Incorporation. And bronze sponsor, Infinite O. Today, we will have an overview of the career path in fund management. To formally welcome us all, may we please have the President and Chairman of CFA Society Philippines, Dr. Robert Ramos, CFA, CAIA, CIPM.
Good afternoon to all of you. Thank you for that introduction. I've always believed that even during the most trying times, every individual, such as yourselves, can find ways to improve. Obviously, obtaining the CFA charter is one path to improvement, as with learning from the success stories of the different individuals. In this career talk, I hope that you pick up a lot of pointers on how you can traverse the road to self-improvement while scaling the corporate ladder. Thank you to Mr. Basil Go, CFA, for sharing your story. And thank you all for attending this webinar. And I do hope that you pick up a lot of good learnings from it. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Robert Ramos. To proceed, joining us today to moderate the session is Ms. Monica Estrada. She is the Auditor of Junior Financial Executives PUP. Everyone, let us all welcome Monica Estrada.
Joining us today is our esteemed speaker and a certified financial analyst. Mr. Basil is currently the head of the Equities Department of the Investments Division of Security Bank. Prior to joining SBC, he was a portfolio manager and strategist from 2013 to 2015 and equity research analyst from 2012 to 2013 with the Investment Advisory and Trust Group of First Metro Investment Corporation. Mr. Basil was also an equity research analyst with Center for Financial Research and Analysis, an MSCI brand in 2012. He had a role of a business area controller with Deutsche Knowledge Services when he was looking after the firm's London Equity Proprietary Trading Desk and its Global Equity Derivatives Index Structured Business from 2009 to 2011. Mr. Basil is a CFA charter holder and graduated with a Bachelor of Science degree in Management, minor in Economics and Finance from Ateneo de Manila University. Let us all welcome Mr. Basil Jason Go, CFA.
Hi. Thank you, Monica, for the kind introduction. Good afternoon, everyone. And thank you for CFA Society for inviting me to this event. It's a great honor to represent the society.
Welcome, sir. Thank you for being with us today, Mr. Basil. Sir, as we start, the first question is, why did you pursue finance?
Well, it all started when I was still in grade school. My dad, I used to see my dad, every afternoon after school, he would watch Bloomberg and CNBC, and he would have this yellow pad and just copy quotes, prices, and CNBC and Bloomberg, and that really piqued my interest. Now, so what was he copying every single day when the market was open? So that piqued my interest, and I started watching CNBC and Bloomberg. I really admired Warren Buffett when I was young. Now, his value investing approach really spoke to me. He's a person of great integrity and character. Everything he did was made a lot of sense to me, and it really spoke to me. So I guess my dad and Warren Buffett really inspired me to pursue the fund management industry.
That was indeed a very motivational reason and influence to pursue a career in the finance field. In relate to that, sir, what do you consider as your highest achievement as of now in your career?
Well, so definitely, I've been through a lot. No, definitely, I guess the easiest answer. I'm not saying this because I'm doing an interview with CFA Society, but definitely attaining the charter was one of I guess greatest achievements. No, definitely passing the three exams is a feat in of it itself. No, but I guess on top of attaining the CFA charter is I guess a couple of things that I would say are achievements are first when I started working in security bank, so I started way back in 2015, no, 5 years ago. The fund was definitely not in a good position. There were the fund had one of the worst years. Both the high div and the peso equity fund UITFs we're in the lowest quartile in terms of performance. So I had to improve the performance of the fund. So that was one of my first things I had to do. No, clean up the funds and hopefully improve the performance of the funds. And thankfully, gratefully, with a lot of hard work and effort, I was able to turn things around starting 2016. So from if you look at the track record for the both our equity funds from 2016 to 2019, we achieved one of the best returns for the past 4 years now, excluding 2020. 2020 has so far been a tough year, admittedly, but hopefully things could turn around. But from 2016 to 2019, both the peso equity fund of Security Bank and the high dividend fund are in the top in terms of performance. So hopefully, I would be able to sustain the performance and improve it further moving forward. And because of that, of my achievement, I was actually eventually I started out as a fund manager, but eventually was promoted to head of equities in 2017 because of my achievement.
That was quite an achievement, sir. Given the achievement you had, how were you able to achieve the role you are in now, also given your career path? Is there any career management techniques and decisions you make?
So I guess the reason why I'm here right now as head of equity security because I really made smart. I would say lucky. I guess luck is part of it, but I would say I made a lot of smart career choices, and I always made decisions with the end goal in mind. No, I always did my best in everything I did, and I never took anything for granted. So if you look at my career path, so I started out actually when I graduated in Ateneo de Manila in 2009. Actually, it was the worst time to be in the finance industry. It was the start of the global financial crisis. So actually, finance was really not in. A lot of companies were cost cutting. A lot of people were not. Companies were not hiring. A lot of belt tightening. I would say so. I was not really in a position to really pick the best job now. I would say I wasn't really the best student. Although I had respectable grades, but didn't have. I wasn't an honor student consistently. So, but I guess when a job opportunity presented itself, I'm in Deutsche. Although it wasn't the job that offered the highest salary. I knew that I wanted to be a fund manager, but so I knew that starting out in Deutsche Knowledge Services would be a good stepping stone to eventually, hopefully, down the road to pursue a fund management role. So I started out in Deutsche Knowledge Services, actually doing part of the data integrity team. So as the name implies, it wasn't really a lot of there wasn't really a lot of I would say a lot of decision making. There, my first role was really just a lot of data cleansing and not really like high level thinking. No, but I really stuck to it, and I saw my work as something like every day I wanted to learn something new. I was very motivated, and I didn't take anything for granted, even if the task was appeared menial or appeared as something that was clerical. I really sought to learn something new, no, every single day. So I guess I wasn't uh, that was my mindset. I really took every task as something that I should do my best, do it at the best of my abilities. No, never taking anything for granted. So from data integrity team, I eventually was moved to the as a controller for the London derivatives team. No, so from data cleansing to something related to producing the P&L for the traders. No, so from Deutsche Knowledge Services, I eventually was after 2 years. So I took CFA level 1, that first level, and second level, and eventually passing level 1 and level 2. I was offered a role in my second job at MSCI. So MSCI, they had a team there called CFRA, Center for Financial Research and Analysis. So what they did there was more of forensics accounting. So they're like sell side. They provided like sell side research to buy side firms. So basically, we did just forensics accounting for publicly listed companies and offered the research to buy side firms. No, so although I didn't really stay there for a long time, no, it was really, I mean, I think that research background really helped me in my career to become a fund manager someday, no, because at the end of the day, I think every fund manager should start out. A good fund manager should start out in research to give you that, you know, in-depth background of whether any industry or company. Because if you don't have that good background, good foundation, it's hard to be a good fund manager, no. So being exposed to that forensics accounting background allowed me to be more allowed me to scrutinize companies deeper, you know, just not accepting the numbers as it is, no, because at the end of the day, management will always project an aura of, you know, positivity. They would not. It's their job to be positive, and I guess as an analyst, it's your job to be more objective. No, the numbers would speak for themselves. So after that, my job in CFRA, I was offered to move to in FMIC covering domestic companies. So at the end of the day, the Philippine, if you look at the buy side firms in the Philippines, most of which are they only transact in domestic stocks. No, so I knew if I wanted to be a fund manager, I knew that I had to move to a domestic research function. No, because in MSCI, I covered global stocks, not only limited to the Philippines. So I guess the next progression there was to cover domestic stocks, which I did for a while in FMIC. So I covered, I mean, banks and property names. But eventually, my boss there, FMIC, offered me a fund management position, and obviously I accepted because that was my I had that goal. I mean, that was my end goal, right, to be a fund manager. Although the assets I managed in FMIC was small, it was I would say it was just around 300 million pesos, relative to I mean, it's a small AUM now. But I guess that was a good stepping stone. No rational person would give I guess a junior person billions of pesos to manage right away. So I guess I did. I mean, I did. I guess I did a good job. So eventually, when I knew in 2015 that Security Bank had an opening, I saw it as an opportunity to handle bigger funds. No, and what's good about handling UITFs is it's publicly disclosed the performance. So everyone knows it's very visible versus say handling private funds, we call it EMAs. Those funds, the performance of those funds are not publicly visible. So from managing EMAs, I think that, you know, the next progression was handling bigger funds, and UITS, which was in Security Bank, which thankfully Security Bank hired me. And from Security Bank, it was definitely a big leap, no, from handling 300 million pesos of funds to handling, I guess, over 15 billion pesos of funds. But But I saw it as a challenge. I mean, I like challenges. If you're doing the same thing over and over again and you're not challenging yourself, you're not growing as an individual. But I took it as a challenge, and thankfully I was able to deliver the performance. That's why for the past 4 years we've been in the top quartile. No, but hopefully things would be uh, would I would be able to sustain the performance moving forward.
Indeed, that was a very motivational and inspiring experiences you had, sir. Moreover, what work you do and how did the CFA program curriculum help you in your career?
So I guess I believe that CFA charter is, I guess, the I would say the uh, if you mention that you're for CFA charter, automatically, I guess, if you're in the finance industry, people will automatically know what you've accomplished. No, I guess it's a badge of honor attaining the CFA charter. And what's good about it? It's known globally. A lot of whether you're almost all finance firms, would you would have an edge over another individual who doesn't have a CFA charter, because having gone through the rigorous process of passing the three exams now, and going to all that statistics and all the accounting and equity valuation really molds you as an individual. It really strengthens your character and shows that if you're a company that's hiring, having achieved those passing those three exams, it shows that you have the discipline, the motivation, and the hard work to pass all those three exams. No, it's no easy feat. No, I mean, just show you the statistics at every level that I don't know the latest figure, but I think the pass rate from level 1 to level 3, it's not a huge crowd. No, and what's good about it, the CFA charter, as mentioned, not only gives the individual the necessary tools to succeed, in whether in accounting and statistics, but also provides you with the groundwork of ethics. No? I think ethics, especially in finance, is critical, especially if you're working in a fund management industry. You have a fiduciary responsibility to always seek what's best for your client. No, don't take advantage of your client. Always see to it that as if you're handling your own money. You're always seeking what's best for your client, not taking anything for granted. And at the end of the day, the buy side industry in the Philippines, whether if you want to pursue a fund management, it's really competitive. No, I mean, how many you see how many business finance graduates every year. Right now, I'm in a position to sometimes we're looking to hire, if whether somebody left or we're looking to increase the team. I'm in a position to hire, and I get to interview people, and definitely it's really competitive. No, there's a lot of people who want to looking for a job. So the way you set yourself apart is through, I guess, the CFA charter. No, so at the end of the day, if you're comparing to individuals who has one with I guess you could say good background, good grades, just ceteris paribus, everything held constant. You have the same credentials, same grades, same background, but one is CFA charter. Definitely, you put more weight on somebody who was able to pass who was able to attain the CFA charter versus somebody who um, just graduate doesn't have the CFA charter. You'd put more weight to that individual. Definitely, that I'm not saying that's the only basis, but uh, that should be one plus factor, right? So I guess I would say, the CFA curriculum really is, I mean, helpful to to provide you the necessary foundation.
Indeed, the CFA program curriculum helped a lot of individuals in pursuing a career in finance. Sir, what was the most confounding ethical situation you encountered in your career, and how did the CFA program help you in navigating that?
Yeah, I would say, especially as mentioned earlier, I mean, in the buy side industry, you're always presented with there's a lot of, sometimes there could be some conflicts. No, at the end of the day, your motivation in the fund management industry is to grow your assets under management. But I believe that it works hand in hand. I think if you want to grow your AUM, your assets under management, you have to be right with your clients. You have to have a fiduciary responsibility. You have to I guess look at what's best for your client, following their investment guidelines. When if there is a hot IPO, you offer your clients equitably, right? If there's more demand than supply for, let's say, the particular IPO, you offer your shares on a prorated basis. You're not favoring one client over another. No, and I guess, especially as in the buy side, no, you have to be objective in terms of your let's say, giving business to brokers. Like, let's say, just we have a objective way of measuring our brokers, because in the buy side we give our trades to our brokers. Definitely, just because your one particular broker is your friend, you give all the business to him. That shouldn't be the case. No, you give a business based on the broker's abilities, based on the broker's um, I mean, research, quality of sales and execution of trades. You have to be really objective, no? And especially right now, I mean, I guess, um, if you hear the news, there's a lot of uh, mistrust in the fund management, I mean, finance industry. So it's our responsibility as a CFA charter holder to be uh, an example, no, to set the standard, to be an example to everyone, that fund management is not only, we're always after not only profits, but also the interest of our clients, no. So I believe that it works hand in hand. No? If you show your client that you're not just there to gouge them or to make money, um, they do more business with you. No, so if you show them that you're fair, that you're not favoring. You're giving them a fair. You're charging them properly. You're not uh, cheating them, then definitely they did give you more business, right? So if you're showing them good performance, but it's really hard. At the end of the day, sometimes you have to really make hard decisions. No, sometimes the uh, easiest decision is not really the right decision to make, right? So you have to look at the relationship from a long-term perspective. Now, sometimes you have to say, if you cannot really deliver something, then you have to be honest and tell your client that that's not something we can do, right? So even if you won't be able to get their business, you have to be honest and fair to your client. Yeah.
I definitely agree with you, sir. In the field of the investment management industry, what are the key factors that you can give to succeed in the said field in the investment management industry?
Well, I guess, if I were to give three things that I guess my opinion, I believe that are critical to be successful in the fund management industry. I guess the first thing is, at the end of the day, you should have passion and love for fund management, no? Because if I think that fund management, it's not really for everyone, So because in fund management, you have to have the right temperament and right disposition in life. If fund management, it's not, it's if you're not passionate about fund management, you're not going to do well being a fund manager, right? So for me, I'm really passionate about fund management. So every morning when I wake up, um, I'm really excited. When the market opens, there's always something new. It's not boring. So when I go open, well, right now we're working from home, but every Monday I'm really excited when the market opens. So, I mean, if you're not happy with what you're doing, it's so hard to be successful in that field, right? So, like what Warren Buffett said, in his book, you should be tap dancing to your work. You should be motivated, excited to wake up every morning to do your job. In fact, I guess you can say it's a bit of a obsession, but a good thing before this pandemic happened, uh, I even replicated my office setup to my home PC. So if you look at my home office setup, we have 4 monitors. So I have a Bloomberg Anywhere. So basically, that Bloomberg Anywhere allows me to access Bloomberg in any PC. So I wanted to replicate that same setup in my home PC. So I did. I had to customize my own PC. So replicated my office setup with having 4 monitors, and good thing I did that in 2017. No? So right now in the pandemic, I'm not missing anything from not going to the office. So I'm able to replicate, function as effectively as if I were in the office. So, I've been using my Bloomberg Anywhere and being updated to what's happening to financial markets. So you have to have passion and joy, in everything that you do in your works to be successful. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, I guess, you should, if in order to be successful fund manager, you should never stop learning. I guess the problem with some people is after they graduate from college, they think that, oh, it's over. I graduated. I don't have to. I'm done with studying. But no, if you're a fund manager, learning actually never stops. No, actually, even after attaining the CFA charter, I've never stopped learning. If you look at my room right now, I have tons of books. Not only related to finance, but I guess a lot of like self-help books, a lot of different books though that that I read regularly. That really helps. Warren Buffett, the Bill Gates, they love to read. They spend hours every single day reading, learning, because learning never stops. No, the moment you stop learning, you stop growing as an individual. It's important that you have that passion that there's to learn, because for me, if you stop learning, parang you stop challenging yourself. In every single book that I read, even if I just get one nugget of wisdom that speaks to me, that really, I guess, improves me in my even if I just get one nugget of wisdom, that could be already priceless to me, no. So yeah, the second thing is never stop learning. And I guess the third thing I would recommend is humility. Humility is probably the most underrated characteristic of a good fund manager. At the end of the day, when fund management, you will make a lot of mistakes. I mean, it's impossible. Even the best investors like Warren Buffett, they make bad calls, right? So in fund management, it's important to be humble. You do understand that you'll make mistakes in your calls, no? And if you make those mistakes, it's important to admit that you made the mistake and correct it right away. Because at the end of the day, if in fund management, your objective is to make money for your clients. So if you are not humble and you always have this view and have this personality of saying, I'm right, the stock should eventually go up, but the stock keeps on dropping and dropping until you lose a lot of money because you never admit that you made the mistake. That could spell a lot of trouble, a lot of fund managers, they it's part of human emotion and human emotion and psyche to be always wanting to be right. But in fund management, you have to be humble. You have to know when you're wrong. In my That's why it's all for me when I go through research reports. Let's say if I like a stock, I would read a view or asks an individual who has an opposite view on the stock. So that really helps, no? So you have you're not wedded to your idea of this stock should go up. You have to see the opposite view and see why you're not so positive on that stock. So you have a devil's advocate saying, no, this stock should be that. And probably after looking, there were instances where somebody had a view that I didn't see. Then I admitted that, oh, I missed this, and this is something that I did not see. So what I did, I took the loss. Good thing I took the loss, but the stock still dropped. So I managed the loss for the client, for the fund, right? So I took the hit, and but at the end of the day, it was to the benefit of the fund, returns. Because at the end of the day, there's the saying, no, true knowledge exists in knowing that you know nothing. No, at the end of the day, when I started learning new things, I found out that there were still a lot of things I didn't know. So there are a lot of things that I need to in especially in fund management. There are a lot of industries. There's a lot of stocks. You always learn something new. The moment you stop learning, you say, oh, I know this industry pretty well. That's the time chances are you're gonna start. The market will start saying to you, oh, you're wrong, and then your returns get hit. No, you start losing money. So you have to be really humble. So yeah, so those are the three things.
That is well noted, sir. Thank you very much for that. For the last question, sir, any suggestions or tips for all the aspiring and future fund managers out there?
Yeah. So as mentioned earlier, so I'm not saying this just because I'm doing this interview for this CFA society, but I guess if you're really passionate about finance and you want to be a fund manager, I guess the first piece of advice is to take the CFA charter. To take the CFA charter, because at the end of the day, the industry is really competitive, especially right now during this time of the pandemic and COVID. Uh, to be honest, a lot of firms are really cost cutting. A lot of firms are not hiring. You'd be really lucky to land your dream job, no, right away. So as mentioned earlier, you have to really set yourself apart from the crowd, no. And one way to gain that, in distinction is to pursue the CFA charter. You have to at the end of the day, as mentioned, CFA charter is it's like the gold standard of finance industry. So once you have the CFA charter, people will know that you've really have the passion and dedication to learn, to study, and and the knowledge to pass all those three exams. It's really grueling exams, right? So if you pass all those three exams, it already sets you apart from another person who's looking for a job who doesn't have the charter. So I guess that's one thing I would recommend is to pursue the CFA charter. The second thing is if you look at my career, right? I didn't start out as a head of equities of Security Bank. If I told you, oh, in 2009 when I graduated, I'm automatically the head of equities of Security Bank, people will think that the company's a laughing stock. Why would they hire a person who just graduated from college, who doesn't have experience in fund management, to be the head? So at the end of the day, you have to earn your keep. No, you have to be able to do the dirty work, do the grind. You have to start from, I started out from data cleansing and data integrity, my first job. Eventually from that same company, I did the P&L for the banks, for the traders. So in each role I took it seriously. I tried to learn everything that I could learn. No? I never took anything for granted, even if it appeared that the job was menial, or there were some days that that things your job appears redundant. But for me, I always saw it as a glass half full, and as a learning opportunity, something that I will be able to grow from. So I took every job seriously, and I took every job as a stepping stone. So from a data cleansing, doing the P&L for the traders, then doing research, covering global stocks and MSCI. That really in MSCI, that really taught me to be a healthy skeptic. No, not just depending on what companies are saying, that their company is really good. Being a skeptic, because at the end of the day, as a fund manager, you have to be objective. People will say things that every day as a fund manager, we're bombarded with a lot of information, whether from the news or from our brokers, or whatever individual, whatever economist. No, so having a healthy dose of skepticism taught that in my job in MSCI, that taught me a lot. No, doing the grunt work, doing a lot of number crunching, and forensics accounting really taught me that. Then from MSCI, I went to I guess FMIC, doing research as well. So now covering domestic stocks. Then eventually doing fund management. No, so from fund management, I handled a 300 million peso AUM. I performed well, and eventually I was offered the opportunity in Security Bank, which allowed me to scale my AUM and manage a bigger fund. No, so at the end of the day, there's this good saying by Bill Gates. No, so and I guess this doesn't only apply to fund management, but to anyone who's pursuing any career, no, or their job. No, is that I guess most people underestimate what they can do. Most people overestimate what they can do in 1 year, and underestimate what they can do for 10 years. No, so people, they want um, instant gratification. No, they want, oh, after doing this, I'm an honor student. I graduated summa cum laude. I should be getting this job. I should be paid X amount. No, but in reality, you have to really prove yourself in anything that you do. That in your company, in the company that you're working for, that you really deserve to be you're deserve to be in that position. No, to do fund management. So yeah, in everything that I did, I really had motivation to move from one step to another. I saw it as a career progression that eventually molded me to become where I am now. No, so you take everything seriously. Don't There's there are no shortcuts to success. You have to really work. There's no shortcut. You really have to work hard, and you have to grind it out. So that's my second suggestion for fund managers. But my last suggestion for fund managers is to say that, as mentioned earlier, you'd make, in line with the humility, I'd say that, a lot, the job failure is inevitable. No, so you have to admit, especially when you're making a lot of decisions every day, you're bound to make mistakes. No, it's impossible not to make a mistake, especially when you take a big risk to achieve your goals. No, recognize this before you begin. You will learn from your failures, and they will only make you better. there's very little learning in success, no? Kasi if you're always successful in everything you do, actually when failure hits you, it's really a punch in the gut, right? So embrace failure and move on. Failure is not falling down, but refusing to get up. No, I have made numerous mistakes in fund management, from not buying the top performing stock or not cutting losses short. No, I realized that, but at the end of the day, I realized that it is part of my job. I know that I will make bad calls in my line of work. It's just part of the no, my work. What matters most is learning from those mistakes and not letting them take over you. The moment you make those mistakes, control you, you're already in a tailspin of disaster. You're gonna be um, uh, miserable because every day you make those mistakes, you'll be thinking about those mistakes, and it will eat you. I mean, for me, especially this year, I've experienced that. I've made bad calls, but it really ate me. But I realized that there's nothing I can do about it. It's the past, and what I can do is move on, move forward, and do what the best that I can. I don't let excuses or negative thinking get in your way. No, remember, you are not a product of your circumstances. You are a product of your decisions. Do not give up, because the moment you give up, you never gave yourself the opportunity to succeed. Yeah, so those are my three suggestions for fund managers.
Thank you so much for the very insightful and inspiring discussion we had, sir. I'm sure our participants and I myself learned a lot from today. Thank you so much, sir. Miss Dayan.
Thank you, Mr. Basil and Miss Monica, for that very insightful discussion. We will now proceed on the Q&A session. For everyone who's here with us right now, just write your comments or questions in the Q&A section, and Miss Monica will read this question to Sir Basil.
So, sir, for our first question, can you share a list of your red flags or due diligence process when analyzing a business or investments?
Oh, actually, there are a lot of I could have my own presentation about this, but I guess I mean, especially in the domestic stock market, there are a lot of I would say some companies that you would say are not investable one way or not another. No, but I guess some things that I would look for. I would say is one, look at the balance sheet of the company. Chances are companies that borrow a lot of money, um they're not really sound. I mean, I'm not making this is not a one size fits all, but companies that have high leverage ratios, have high gearing, low or return on equity, those companies, that's one red flag already, because the fact that you're borrowing money, you're basically pulling forward you're trying to pull forward your numbers, right? So because you're borrowing money, probably because if your business generates a lot of cash flow, right, uh chances are, if you're generating a lot of cash flow, uh, you don't need to borrow money. But I'm not saying that borrowing money is not is bad, right? So I guess if you're borrowing money for the sake of having investing in something that would generate a lot of a higher return on equity versus your cost of debt, then that is good, no? And so that's it. One factor, having a good balance sheet. Another thing is having there's several metrics you can look at. I mean, I can go babbling all day, but I know the cash conversion cycle, the cash conversion. Maybe it's a bit too technical already, but companies that they would pull forward their sales, like having high receivables, but at the end of the day, just to have high sales, but they're not converting it to cash right away. So that's a red flag, definitely. There's a lot of accounting shenanigans companies do. No, they could what some companies do is they would let's say if they want, especially if they want to start on a clean slate, they would probably dump all their negative numbers on a particular quarter so that numbers moving forward would be positive, right? So they would have this one-time expense, big big write-off for let's say a particular quarter, so that they would like future numbers would be better off, because you basically front loaded all your OPEX and all your one-time expenses, quote unquote. But in reality, they're trying to just make their future numbers look good, no? And some companies, of course, especially as a fund manager, you'd notice a lot of companies do, especially if they have some imprudent ways of deploying cash, no? So they would basically borrow money to buy back their own stock now. So those are things that are really red flags. And at the end of the day, actions speak louder than words, no? So in my line of work, I constantly meet with management. A lot of we do a lot of meetings with management, no, in a lot of conferences. And sometimes when some I guess I've gained this through experience, but when I talk to management, I sometimes know when they're disingenuous or not telling the truth. No, I'm able to read it that there's a lot of a lot of things. They're just telling me the story that he want. I mean, they're just putting a positive spin in the story. I mean, at the end of the day, it's their job to put a positive spin in everything, because it's their job to have the stock price go up. But yeah, it's, as a fund manager, you have to be able to discern, no, when they're telling the truth through historical through doing the research, no, that it doesn't make sense, like some companies would say something but do another thing. So you know, those are red flags, right? So corporate governance is critical. So having a strong balance sheet is critical. Uh, uh, so some of those are some of the factors, but there's a long list actually. But I guess in the interest of time, I think that's what I can say.
Next question, sir. What are the top questions you ask yourself first when you are analyzing an investment vehicle?
Yeah, so you would say I am more of, so I really like, so the CFA charter taught me a lot of the fundamental analysis. No, fundamental analysis meaning looking at company background, management, looking at the numbers, the metrics, and I guess that's not the only thing that you should look at. There's also, I mean, some qualitative factors that you look at. Does the business have a moat? There's some things that you cannot really measure. No, moat. If the is the company's business model sound? Is the company able to generate high returns on equity? So those are quantitatives, the fundamentals, the numbers and all that. It's easy, right now we can get it easily. You have a lot of analysts and the Bloomberg will do that. There's a qualitative that I guess that's more difficult, like assessing how, let's say if the company is growing fast, assessing what's the addressable market, the TAM, total addressable market. So if the company is growing so fast, how big is the market? And is the company starting out from a small base? So companies that are smaller definitely will be able to grow faster. No, it's basically the law of large numbers. So companies that are smaller, definitely if you're coming from a lower base, it's easier to grow But if you're already a big company to start out with, then definitely it's harder to grow, right? So there's a lot of qualitative factors, but also one thing um, that I really value is, I guess, aside from looking at the quantitative, qualitative, I guess the technicals also is a critical timing tool, no? So basically look at the technicals, meaning I look at the chart. Because at the end of the day, if you think the stock is cheap, um, maybe it's cheap for a reason. It could be cheap for a long time and it doesn't go up, right? So even if from a metric basis, whether you're looking from PE, price to book, it's really cheap, but it doesn't go up. So if you buy the stock, if it's cheap, it doesn't go up. You're basically, that's an opportunity cost, right? You're not making money on that investment, even if the stock is cheap. The market has to agree with you, and I think that technicals is a critical tool in my toolkit, no? So I have to, the chart should be agreeing with my thesis on the stock, that the fundamentals are good, the earnings are good, and the stock, and that should be validated by the price action of the stock. That means that the stock price is going up. So if those three factors are agreeing with each other, the quantitative, the qualitative, the technicals, all are in concurrence and agree with each other, then I guess that stocks is something that should be a good investment, right? Yeah.
Thank you for that, sir. For third question, what are the most common mistakes that investors make which they are not aware of?
Yeah. So I mean, I'm also guilty of all those investor mistakes, right? So as mentioned earlier, not cutting losses, or so if your investment turns out bad, the thesis uh, is not, the stock price is going down, it appears that your thesis is not working, right? So you have to, at the end of the day, if you make a decision, you're just one individual. You're not uh it doesn't matter, I'm just one opinion. At the day, as mentioned, you have to be humble. You have only it doesn't matter if the stock price, if you're right. What's important is you make money for your clients. So if you're the type of person that always has to be right, it's hard to be a fund manager. So if you think that you're somebody who cannot make a mistake, you cannot be a fund manager. Some, like for me, I'm guilty or sometimes as my, if I like a stock, then I look for research that confirms my thesis on the stock. So if I like this so and so stock, I will read research reports that confirm the thesis on the stock, that, oh, this is a buy with the target price on so and so. But you have to look at what the stock price is doing. Why is the stock price going down every day? That means there's something wrong with your thesis. So you have to be able to cut your losses. No, people, it's common trait for investors. There's a lot of I guess there's a field in finance right now, behavioral finance. That's a field in itself. That there's a lot of behavioral biases, like people cutting losses, fear of cutting losses. People, hold on to their losers too long, and selling their winners too soon. No, there's a like, it's definitely it's really like fund management. It's not a hard science. No, there's a lot of um, I would say there's fund management's a mix of art and science. No, it's if it's only based on quantitative metrics, then on valuation fundamental metrics, then everybody can easily do it. But there's a lot of art involved, like a lot of subjectivity, like some things that you cannot really measure, that are intangible, that you should be able to realize that these things are part of fund management. If it were that easy, then everybody would be rich right now.
For the next question, sir, what characteristics of a business or an investment that you are always looking for?
All right. So kind of touching on what I said earlier. So I like companies that in general are growing fast. So high growth stocks. But definitely there's a price to pay for everything. Just you want to be entering a stock, buying a stock when it's priced attractively. So you have, growth at the, we call it GARP, growth at a reasonable price. You don't just want to buy stocks that are growing fast for the sake of buying it. No, because if you're buying it at a price that's really elevated, expensive, there's no margin of safety. That's one of Warren Buffett's philosophical views. No, you have to, when you buy a stock, there should be some margin of safety. You want to be buying it at a point where uh, even if you're wrong, your downside would not be as big. No, so and your upside, your risk reward basically is favorable. So you want to buy stocks that have favorable risk reward opportunities, stocks that have greater upside than downside. And if you're wrong, you're able to get out and cut your losses. No, so companies that generate a lot of cash flow, that has a moat. No, not a lot of um let's say uh it's a business model that's not easily replicable. No, so if everybody is able to just go into that business, then that means it's not a good business. Because if it's something that somebody can imitate you, then let's say you're generating so much money, and oh, it's somebody sees it and then decides to open a business that's similar to your business, and they'll gain market share, then that business is not a very sustainable business because it's easily replicable. No, you want a business that's hard to replicate, that you have a, I guess, competitive advantage. No, that you're, I guess, steps away ahead of your competition, not something um, that can be easily copied, and that generates a lot of cash flow, generates high returns on equity. Because some businesses, even if you know whatever they do, let's say it's what let's say a commodity business, or a business that's generates low margins, right? So even if you generate a lot of sales, but it's not something that's scalable, or you're not able to utilize operating leverage, then that's not a good business. You want businesses that as sales grows, you're able to have operating leverage, and consequently your margins would improve as your sales grow. No, you want those types of businesses, and you want, as mentioned earlier, you want a big addressable market. The total addressable market is not yet tapped. There's a huge potential for that market. You want a business that's probably in the early innings, right? You don't want to be buying a business when it's already, well, from my perspective, already mature, in a industry that's really mature. There's little to no growth anymore. No, so those are things that I look for.
Another question, sir, from our participants. Is CFA better compared to MBA?
Well, this is I wouldn't say the CFA is better than MBA or vice versa, because this is my opinion. All right, so because the benefit of having the CFA is you can work while pursuing the CFA, right? Although I'm not saying, there's some MBAs that are part-time, that which allow you to work and at the same time pursue the MBA, right? But I'm saying in CFA it's more of like you're studying by yourself. It's self-study. Um, and if you want to be successful in finance, and if that's the field that you want uh, to be good, you want to be a fund manager or any finance related field, right? So I think the CFA will give you a more, I guess, granular view on finance, right? So versus say an MBA, well, depends. Maybe if your MBA allows you to specialize in fields, but yeah, but that's beside the point. But if you're CFA, like you want to really hone in on your finance, finance is the field that you want to pursue, then pursue the CFA. But for say an MBA, my view there is if you're, I guess you want to uh yeah, MBA is also, I guess, relevant if you want to guess pivot, or say if you're in a job that your career path is not something that you're not happy with, then you want to pivot to another field. Like let's say if you're a marketing guy, you want to be, say, what have you, account operations manager, and so that you want a career pivot, I guess maybe the MBA is better, or yeah, that's my view. But I guess the edge of the CFA is that you can I was, while pursuing the CFA, I was still working, so that's an advantage. Uh, you don't have to quit your work, right? So that for me is an advantage. I mean, each would have their pros and cons, no? So maybe I'm biased. Yeah.
Thank you for that, sir. Next question. How important are undergraduate courses and undergraduate grades in getting a successful career path in finance?
Well, definitely. I think I would say it is. Uh, I would say it's really, as a person that's has hired a couple of people already. I think it's not the end all and be all, right? So your grades doesn't have to be for me. It doesn't have to be extremely stellar, but it has to be respectable, right? It cannot be somebody's getting D's and F's and all that, who's just passing, just barely passing. That would be a tough thing to tough person to hire. It has to be respectable, and especially as mentioned earlier, finance industry in the Philippines is really small. You have only a handful. If you want to be a fund manager, there are only a handful of buy side firms in the Philippines, no. So you can count it probably in you can count it easily. There's only a handful of firms, no, and chances are when they have openings, it's gonna be very seldom, especially during this time of the pandemic. A lot of companies are cost cutting or trying to minimize their expenses. So a lot of companies are not really hiring. So if you want to really distinguish yourself, um, you have to have decent grades at the very least, no? Because if I'm constantly bombarded with CVs every day, and it's the reality. You have to get somebody who's more qualified. I guess more somebody's who has more intellectually capable, right? At the end of the higher grades, because it will reflect on the person. No? If they don't have decent grades, maybe it reflects badly. So you you're I'm constantly bombarded with a lot of CV. So when I'm comparing, that's the first thing you have to really look at, no. So I guess it's not the end all and be all. I mean, I would say you have to look at other things, no, like extracurricular, and um you also have to ace that interview. But yeah, and even I guess if you don't have good grades, I guess just to name drop again, but I guess pursuing the CFA charter will set you apart, right? So if I mean, for me, I didn't have like really high grades. It was respectable. I mean, I wasn't a constant honor student, but it was respectable. But I guess the pursuing the charter really helped me in at landing this job.
Second to the last question, sir. Any advice for those who's having a career crisis right now?
um, well, it's hard. I mean, at the end of the day, I don't know what the circumstances of that person is. Because at the end of the day, if you're somebody who's, I mean, just started out there working, started, if you're early, you just graduated from college and you just started your career, right? Chances are your first job won't be your dream job. Definitely, like definitely my first job, first couple of jobs were not the most ideal of circumstance starting out in the global financial crisis in 2009. I mean, it was hard to find decent work, no. But at the end of the day, you have to start from somewhere. You cannot just be job hopping left and right, because as a person who's been hiring, I don't like people who constantly hop from one job after another, because it shows that the individual lacks any sort of commitment. I mean, if you're hiring somebody as a hiring manager, I want somebody who would be there for the job for at least couple of years, right? You don't want to be hiring somebody who's gonna be like job hopping 1 year. I mean, staying in the job for 1 year, then job hopping to another job the year after. You want somebody who has some sort of commitment in your job. So my advice is probably say stay there for at least in any job that you do. Stay there for at least 1 to 2 years, and or if you really don't like your job, no, before quitting your work, you should at least apply to other jobs that you think that will eventually guide you to your career, the dream career, no? Because at the end of the day, if you're young, I guess the best thing to do is to try a lot of things out, no? I'm not saying job hopping, right? I'm saying you should in your personal free time, you should explore different things in your life. Like, oh, you might never know. Like in your free time, probably read some books about that particular field. Meet people in that particular field that that are successful. Talk to them. You never lose anything. Um, it's good to network, to talk to different people, to read books about, let's say, if you want to explore something, or right now you can, with social media and the power of I guess anything, you can just YouTube anything or Google anything, you can learn something new, right? So if you don't like your job, I guess the best thing, you can explore other fields, but don't immediately quit your job until I guess, given that the hard job climate right now is, you have to explore different, I mean, interview in different jobs, right? So once you get the job that you think you can be successful in, after doing your research, of course, not just hopping because they offered you a higher salary that you're taking it right away, then you took your that particular job, then you're miserable, right? You find out that the work you're doing is not good, your boss is not somebody you can get along with, then you'll be quitting right away. So um yeah, it's important that you do your homework, you have to network with different people, do your research, then explore different things, then that's time, no, before you start pursuing other fields.
Thank you for that, sir. And our last question. Sir, as a fund manager, what are the impact or the effects of this crisis or pandemic to your career?
Well, I kind of alluded to this earlier. So, well, from my perspective, it's actually a positive, but because definitely in Metro Manila, traffic is terrible, right? So, from my home to my office in Makati, it would take me 2 hours of my life every single day driving, right? So right now I'm working from home. I don't have to spend those 2 hours in the car. So that is definitely a big time saving measure. So that's one way to look at it. But I guess um, another way to look at it, I used to interact with, a lot of, in my line of work, it's really, although I would say I'm a bit of an introvert, in my line of work, we really interact with a lot of people. No, I guess that's one thing that I'm missing right now. Interacting with people, because on a normal, if I'm able to go to the office, I'm able to like meet with companies personally, not because right now everything is done through Zoom, right? What we're having right now, Zoom. So, but right now, corporate events are held through Zoom. So, I'm constantly meeting sell side companies, brokerage firms through Zoom, to companies through Zoom. So, uh, well, there are pros and cons to Zoom, but you miss the daily interactions with your. So right now, I handle a team of we're 4 people in the team, so I'm just the way I interact with the people, my colleagues, is through social, through WhatsApp to Viber, and sometimes I call them, and sometimes through Zoom, right? So you miss that social everyday social interaction with your colleagues. So that's the one thing you're missing with the pandemic. Yeah.
Once again, thank you so
Thank you
much,
very
sir.
much, Mr. Basil. Thank you for all the knowledge you impart us today.
Thank you for inviting me for this event. It's a great honor to represent CFA.
Once again, thank you so much, Sir Basil. We really enjoyed this session with you. And as a student, I think most of us right now are so excited as well to take our career path to the next level. This concludes our webinar. Please expect an email from CFA Society Philippines for the link to the online evaluation. Those who are able to answer some questions about the webinar and complete the evaluation form will receive an electronic copy of certificate. You may scan as well the QR code flashed in the screen to view the career profile of Mr. Basil Jason Go. And now, we are excited to announce that our next series for the Career Guide webinar will talk about the career path in corporate finance. And it will happen in January 2021. We hope to see you there again soon. CFA Society Philippines would like to thank again its sponsors. Platinum sponsor, National Home Mortgage Finance Corporation. Silver sponsor, FTI Consulting Incorporation. And bronze sponsor, Infinite O. Again, accept our appreciation for your time and effort in participating in today's webinar. That is all for today. Thank you so much and have a nice day.